Hey guys, so it is me, Destiny, here with let's call this a Let's Talk Life, because we're just going to talk about some things that I'm learning really in my coaching class, but this is actually, I'm learning this in all the classes I'm taking right now and in life in general, so I'm not even going to put this in one category. That's why we just going to call it Let's Talk Life. If you didn't catch that, I'll just slow right down and let you know what's going on. So I have a few things I want to teach in order to reinforce the learning that I am doing. These things or these concepts are cognitive behavioral therapy concepts, and they fall under the category of cognitive distortions. And cognitive distortions are things that really hinder us from living our best life and our thinking process. So it could be that there's 10 of them that are described here. And it could be that we maybe have a problem with all of them, or maybe 3 of them, or maybe 1 of them. But I can guarantee you, as I go through this list, you'll find yourself in at least 1. And in the spirit of continuing to be transparent and vulnerable, I'm going to give you guys some real life examples of some that I have some struggles with myself. Yes, I'm not perfect, just like you, but you already knew that. So, cognitive distortion number 1, all or nothing thinking. This is like saying either is black or white. Either it's, so I didn't win, therefore I am a loser, I'm a failure, I did not succeed. Or the alternative, it's not leaving room for life to happen. Because it can only be one or the other way. Like, you're limiting all of the possibilities that the universe has to offer. Number 2, cognitive distortion number 2, overgeneralization. So, I do this. Well, I don't do it as often anymore, I will say. However, in the past, I was notorious for overgeneralizations, because I would say, oh man, he doesn't want to go with me to this movie, therefore he does not love me, he does not like me, he will never speak to me again. Know what I mean? Or there's the overgeneralizations of like, I failed this test, and so I'm gonna fail the class because I just don't know the subject clearly since I failed this one test. Overgeneralizations. That's some of mine. Maybe not so juicy, but I share it anyway. Mental filter number 3, cognitive distortion. So this is where, and I'll read it how they say, you pick out a single negative detail and dwell on it exclusively so that your vision of all reality becomes darkened. So this is like overgeneralization in a sense. However, you like take that one thing and it's like, oh, you just missed one question on the test. One question. But you're so engulfed in the fact that you missed that one question that everything else becomes terrible and wrong and not really what reality is. Number 4, cognitive distortion. You are disqualifying the positive. I do this. I have done this. Where when someone does something bad, I automatically am like, well, that explains this, that explains that, this wasn't true, and maybe that was false, and this was just a front, and you weren't really being your real you when you were being good, and you know, that's kind of messed up, where maybe just somebody had a bad day, and I shouldn't judge them and disqualify them for the good of one bad day. Number 6, Oh, sorry, y'all. Number 5, jumping to conclusions. Go figure. Guilty, guilty, guilty of this one. Guilty, guilty. Like, I can think of time when there was a guy that I was dating, and man, when I say I jumped to conclusions left and right on him, oh, you wasn't at the gym, you was at the club. Oh, you wasn't here, you was with old girl, or whoever old girl was. Or I just, man, jumped to all kinds of conclusions, and then he'd be like at work or something. Anyway, magnification or minimization. So this is where you exaggerate like things that are really like your own, maybe something that your own error, and it's like really small, or you exaggerate someone else's achievement to like kind of like make yourself feel smaller. And then like on the flip side, you maybe shrink things like your strengths or your own like desirable like who you are, what makes you you. Like you might shrink that and make it feel smaller, and vice versa. Make someone else's errors and mistakes and their bad qualities bigger than they are, if that makes sense. I said that wrong, and that makes me want to start all the way over. But I won't. I will just edit it out. So number 6 is magnification. And magnification is when you are making things way bigger than they are or smaller than they are. And when I say things, I mean like your own. So maybe you make your own errors. You beat yourself up, really. Like you oh man, you're so terrible for forgetting to cut the light off when you left. You know, like you beat yourself up over little things. And then you might praise someone for the little tiny things that they do that are not really even that big of a deal and worth like praising. Excuse me. Yeah, that's magnification. You might find yourself in that. Emotional reasoning is the 7th cognitive distortion, and that is when so if you like feel bad, or maybe you just feel off and you just feel weird about a situation, and then you take that feeling and you make it real, essentially, by saying, just because I feel this is what is happening. And it could not be the case. Like you could be feeling like your sister or your friend or your brother and whoever this other person is that you're relating with, you could be feeling like they're jealous or envious or spiteful or treating you with contempt or some other negative feeling, and that might not be reality. However, because you feel that way, you make it real, and that's emotional reasoning. So you assume that your negative feelings are a reflection of what reality is, and it's really not the case. It's actually just your own perception. I've been guilty of this one too. Not gonna lie to you guys. And the next one, should statements. So the 8th cognitive distortion is should statements. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, woulda. Shoulds and musts. Like you might try to motivate yourself or like to lift yourself up and say, they use the word motivate, but to like you try to say, oh, I should do this and I should have done this, and that's not a good way to talk to yourself, because then you start to feel like guilty and bad about not doing what you quote unquote should have or could have. Again, it's like the negative of putting the limits on. Actually, no, it's the exact same as putting limits on what you're actually capable of and what this universe has to offer. Number 9, we only got 2 more, guys. Number 9 is labeling and mislabelling. So in what they have here is, instead of accepting accountability and describing an error you have made, you attach a negative label to yourself or others. I'm a loser, or he's a terrible person. So it's like similar to the all or nothing in the sense of, you're saying that because this one person did this one action, they are completely negative. Like you're not saying, you're saying someone's a bad person. Again, sorry, maybe this is a terrible example that I just keep using over and over again, but you're like, it's like when you're saying someone's a bad person just because of one little thing that they did. You're labeling them for something. I hope that I am making sense in this, me trying to teach cognitive distortions that I am learning myself. And if you have any questions, leave a comment or shoot me an email, and we can talk about it a little bit more, as it is something that I do enjoy talking about and studying. So last one, personalization. You see yourself as the cause of some negative external event for which in fact you are not primarily responsible. I am so guilty, and I'll leave this juiciest story for this one. So, you know, I love you guys who make it all the way to the end of my 12-minute YouTube videos. Like, y'all are the dopest, for real, for real. But anyways, so personalization, y'all. This one time, a friend of mine and a guy I was, it's always around the guy that you're dating. Oprah says that ex-boyfriends are the best teachers. So take a lesson from you guys. Personalization. So this one time, my friend and a guy that I was dating got into a heated argument that led into being a fight, and then a brawl, and then just like a really bad night. And I blame myself for it. I took responsibility for the entire happenings and behaviors of each other person that was involved in the incident. And that's personalization. That's unhealthy. And I can see that now and do my best to avoid falling into these cognitive distortions, which is why I wanted to share them with you guys, because once you're aware, you can do a lot with just having simple awareness. So that is my little spiel on cognitive distortion study session here on YouTube. Let's Talk Life. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, you don't want to see these ever again, or I look hella tired, or whatever you got to say, please leave them in the comments below. I really do want to hear it. I'd be curious, y'all. And until next time, see you later.